I don't think great content is going to save anyone.
Traffic is still basically the KPI half of marketers' reports are built on.
Traffic is now a vanity metric.
What if traffic is down and everyone start blame marketing?
Google searches are up. Searches per searcher are up. Total searches per year are up. Google's revenue is up. Google's stock is up.
You mean zero click does not mean zero business, right?
You're not going to be able to observe this journey.
You're not anti-AI, but you're anti-people losing their minds over AI.
The job has changed.
Can a robot write a symphony?
I really dislike the false narrative that AI is going to take everyone's job.
Rand Fishkin, welcome to Adsy Talks.
This is Adsy Talks. Adsy Talks. Adsy Talks.
Today's guest has a habit that marketers both love and hate. He looks at industry and consensus and asks, what if we're measuring the wrong thing? He built Moz, which shaped how SEO worked for a long time. He started SparkToro, which built around one simple question most marketers still struggle with: where do people actually pay attention online? And over the past few years, he's been consistently questioning how much of modern marketing still reflects how the internet really works, especially around traffic, attribution, and search. Rand Fishkin, welcome to Adsy Talks.
Oh, thank you for having me, Anthony. Great to be here.
Okay, so the first great topic that I want to discuss with you is the web stopped sending clicks. And when people hear that web sends fewer clicks, they immediately blame Google. And are we giving Google too much credit, or did every platform quietly decide, let's keep users here?
Yeah. So we did a bunch of research about this for our book, Amanda Natividad and I, for zero-click marketing. And essentially what we found is that Google may have been early to this trend, but they were definitely not the first. If you're really looking for a culprit here, it's going to be Facebook. Facebook, when they acquired Instagram, clearly the leadership team saw this opportunity to keep their audience inside of walled gardens and benefit from the fact that they don't need to send out traffic to be capturing value from the web. And so if you remember, right, Instagram's acquisition, I want to say this is like 2011, and Facebook basically sees that Instagram has no way to link. Like a post cannot include a link. And this was, radically different from the way things were until then, right? Every other platform, a LinkedIn, a Reddit, Dig, which was still popular, Facebook itself, YouTube used to contain links back to the source site, right? For every video. Technically, they still do, but they hide the link by default. You have to click more in order to see a URL in there. Anyway, long story short is that this is a trend that Instagram started, and then the mobile app revolution absolutely accelerated, and then Google doubled down and invested in more and more. What Google saw was that, and Anthony, we have data to prove this from the clickstream system and described it in zero-click marketing. What Google saw was that when you perform a search on Google and you get a quick, instant, accurate answer, you are more likely to search Google again. You're more likely to come back to Google again. You're more likely to have more searches next month and next year. That addiction to search, right? That quick answer, fast thing. I'm at the grocery store. I'm looking for the, recipe for cacio e pepe, and I can't remember whether it's pecorino or parmigiana cheese that I need. And so I ask, what kind of cheese in cacio e pepe? And if Google would only understand Italian better, the answer comes right up. You don't have to click on anyone's website and scroll down. And Google has clearly stolen that. It's not like there's some editor at Google who's like, I should really tell them what it is, right? They've taken that information from the rest of the web and then they show it right in the answer. But those quick answers mean that you go back to Google again and again. You get addicted. So this trend didn't start with Google. But as our research out this week shows, 68% of searches end without a click. That's, what is that? That's 13% growth in a decade. Another 13% will be, in the 80s, right? Google will be, less than 1/5 the traffic sender.
Actually, your bit about Italian and Google understanding it reminded me the old internet joke. Maybe you've heard it. It was like a video meme, and it was called "Italian Man Goes to Malta," and he was ordering at restaurant, and he was like, "I want a fork on a table." I'm sorry, what? I want a fork on a table. So I want a fork on a table.
I mean, Google's voice to text is pretty good, and their voice understanding is pretty good. But when you mix languages, it doesn't like it, right? It's not good. And so English is terrible for this. We have tons of French words, tons of Italian words, tons of words from Spanish that we take from other languages. We're sort of a melting pot of a language.
Yeah, that's true. And like speaking about the influence, where does influence actually happen right now? You mentioned discover on Reddit, validate on YouTube, hear it on a podcast, ask AI, and visit the website at the end. So is this roughly a journey right now that everyone is doing?
So again, like the description Amanda and I used was a pinball machine. Like no two journeys are ever the same. If you launch your ball right into the platform playing area of the machine, and then you bounce against all these different sources. It could be Reddit, it could be email newsletters, could be podcasts, could be webinars, could be an online event. Yeah, it could be Twitter or TikTok or LinkedIn or Facebook or Pinterest. It totally depends. It depends on the sector, the person, the personalization, how long the journey is, how considered a purchase it is. And then, from that bouncing, marketers have to try and identify like which bumpers are the balls that I'm after going to hit. Which shoots are they going to go down, right? Where do I need to put my flippers to, keep them in play? And only at the very, very end, right, do you hopefully get the, high score, send it through the tube and get the conversion event. But you're not going to be able to observe this journey. Like this is not an observable journey in the way that old web visits used to be, or that ad supported journeys are, right? Like the promise with Facebook and Google advertising, Meta and Google advertising, is that you're going to see the journey all the way through. Right? You're going to see when they're browsing on Instagram, and you're going to see when they visit Facebook, and you're going to see when the pixel fires on every website that has the Facebook pixel, which every website does. And then you're going to see what they search for in Google, and you're going to see when they visit your website. If you only just pay for ads and do no organic marketing whatsoever, you can kind of see that journey, right? You can squint and be like, well, we'll ignore podcasts, we'll ignore webinars, we'll ignore YouTube, we'll ignore organic social, we'll ignore organic search. And these are the ad channels that had an impact. Okay. But man, that's a rough way to do it.
And what if traffic is down and everyone start blame marketing? What evidence would you need before agreeing?
I bet, do you guys see this a lot? Like, do you get, yeah.
Yeah. So we've had it like, I don't know, not constantly, but once a month, our CEO asks like if everything is fine with marketing, with because like something is wrong with traffic, with leads. So yeah.
So one thing I like, the folks from Ahrefs did something quite kind, in my opinion. There's this free website that they built. I think it's ChatGPT versus Google is the domain, but if you search for like Ahrefs, ChatGPT versus Google, the site shows traffic data, aggregated traffic data for 75 or 80,000 websites who've all connected their analytics. These are all websites that are working with Ahrefs, right? So they are marketers who are professional. They know what this platform is. They're trying to get traffic. And their Google traffic trend is down, 30% in the last 2 years, right? You can see the graph of like how much traffic has Google sent to all these sites, and it's just whoop. So the beautiful thing about that is it's a benchmark, right? It says, hey, boss, team, client, it's not just us. Traffic is down for everybody. And then when they say, oh, are people using Google less? We need to be in all the AI tools. No, that is completely wrong. Go look at the data again. Google searches are up. Searches per searcher are up. Total searches per year are up. Google's revenue is up. Google's stock is up. People are not searching any less. They're searching more. They're just not clicking on websites because Google isn't presenting those. Google is presenting answers. And so if you were in the world of, hey, my job is driving traffic from search, social, and AI, that's a bad job. Like, that's not the job, right? The job has changed. And it's our obligation, right? Like we feel this way about the book, right? Like that zero-click marketing and our obligation. And every time I go on a webinar, my job is to convince not marketers. You already know. Like all of them already know. You know. It's your boss. It's your team. It's your client. It's your CEO that just doesn't get it yet. And I feel like our obligation is provide the firepower, right? The data and the stories to make the case so that you can switch from traffic to influence.
That's true. And I will tell you more. While running this podcast, today is like 10th or 11th episode already, I started noticing that I'm starting giving advices to my team in our Slack channel when they're trying to discuss problems related to product, to traffic and everything. I'm using the knowledge that I'm gaining from this podcast to explain them how everything changes, how they need to change the mindset. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting things that we've got going on, Anthony, is, historically, and Casey and Amanda and I think about this all the time with SparkToro. I think about it with Alert Mouse. Historically, if there was some question that our customers had, right? Like, hey, we're finding that a bunch of people who are checking out SparkToro are having trouble describing demographics in their audience description. Okay, let's write a blog post about that. That was what we always did in the past, right? The thing to answer the question was, hey, we should write a blog post about it, or let's put up a support article about it. And you still have to do those things. But now that same information had better be on all the platforms where your audience pays attention. The more platforms, the better. It's even weird with the world of AI and Google's AI overviews. You probably want to get that message into places where very few people are paying attention, but AI tools are crawling and scraping and taking that data. So you can see people influencing AI through YouTube videos with 5 views or, Reddit posts with like 2 upvotes. Still important. Like it still matters because Google and the AI tools are scraping that stuff and then they're showing it. And so, like I said, right, the job has just changed. Like the job is no longer, hey, are people going to click this and, it's going to drive traffic? The job is this going to create the influence that we want?
Yes. And basically, we just need to change our mindset and also, I have like a philosophical question based on our topic, on today's topic. You basically declared war on the acronym game. GEO, EAO, AIO, LLMO, and probably 3 more appeared while we were recording this podcast. Why marketers are so obsessed with renaming things?
I think there's a certain amount of personal pride that comes from being the originator of a term. I see a lot of people feeling that that's an important thing that they want to do in their career, even though it has no particular benefit, right? Like it doesn't get you much of anything. a zero-click search, right, which is a term that was coined by Gabriel Weinberg of DuckDuckGo. But I don't think it does a whole lot for DuckDuckGo's business or for Gabriel himself. And he doesn't even really talk about it all that much. Like it's not that particularly useful to have coined a term. It's great to have language around things, but if you say GEO, that means 1,000 things to 1,000 different people. I'm always still confused that it's not a maps product. Like, it seems like it would be geographic data or information. And the acronym, of course, means 1,000 things if you type it into Google. So that seems like a terrible acronym. I don't know why anyone chose it. But if you want to use it, don't let me stop you. Like, go for it. If you say SEO for AI, everyone immediately knows exactly what you mean. Right? Just like SEO for YouTube or SEO for Instagram or SEO for Reddit or SEO for Google Maps, or local SEO, like everyone gets it. It confuses me why people have to obsess about let's come up with a new term.
Basically, I do agree with you on that because from my experience, the more professional a human is, like in his industry, in what he does, he usually uses less special terms and he is able to explain everything in simple language because basically language is what helps us communicate and that is why
you could not be more correct, Anthony. I think the sign of true expertise and that you deeply understand something is that you can explain it to a third party who has no idea what you do in the language of someone who has never heard of your field, and you can explain it in a way that they quickly understand, right? That means you really get what you're doing. And so when you say GEO or LLMEO or whatever it is, you've lost 95% of your audience. You sound like you only want to speak to insiders, right? You're trying to be exclusionary rather than inclusionary. I'm not sure what the goal there is.
But in the older days, the more terms you used, the more likely you're gonna get a job because you will show that you know something about. So, but it is in the past. Right now, I see that more and more often people are using simple language to tell what they mean. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine if you know you're talking to another insider and you want to use insider language to show that you're part of the group. Great.
Of course. Thinking about the search everywhere thing, I want to ask you this. If someone says that they're doing SEO, but they ignore Reddit, YouTube, communities, AI, are they just optimizing for Google? So can they say that they're doing SEO anymore?
Sure. I mean, you can do SEO however you want, right? If all this AI stuff and all the multi-platform approach and search everywhere and right, these trends are annoying to you and you hate them, you don't care about them, and you've got a good business focusing just on getting pages to rank in Google, don't let me stop you, right? Like, you do you. There's still people who make horseshoes, right? There's still people who whatever, like, repair very particular kinds of leather shoes that only 1.1% of the population wears. You can make a living doing old school things, right? That were classic and historic. But I fear and I worry when those folks naysay or try and reject the way the field has evolved, right? Whereas someone who makes horseshoes, their job remains the same because horses continue to need shoes. There's just fewer of them, and we don't, we're not. Is it a farrier? We just don't need that many, but we still need some. To what degree do we still exclusively need? Hey, get this page ranking in Google. Ignore all other platforms. Don't bother trying to create influence through, zero-click marketing or zero-click searches, right? In the AI overviews or the instant answers. Seems strange to me, but maybe there's a place for it.
Of course, maybe. And also, For me, SparkToro answers one questions that marketers surprisingly are bad at. Where does my audience actually pay attention? So I wanted to ask, how much bad SEO is secretly bad audience research?
I think only a little bit, because my suspicion is that a lot of SEO has it's a different goal than where does my audience hang out. Like, there's these two different worlds. There's where does my audience hang out, which might be, it could be that your audience is very into niche websites, niche podcasts, particular YouTube channels, certain email newsletters. They follow these particular influencers. But the way to do SEO, right? Like to basically appear in the AI overviews of Google or the answers that AI tools are giving you, or get your pages ranking, that stuff has some but not complete overlap with where your audience pays attention. Obviously, if you're going to do digital marketing, right? If your goal is influence people, I would recommend you do both of these things. But audience research doesn't, for example, say, hey, you should go, create content on your website and on Reddit and on LinkedIn and in all these places where your audience doesn't necessarily pay attention, but the AI tools might be paying attention and Google's crawl might be paying attention. That's not what SparkToro will tell you. What SparkToro will tell you is these podcasts, pitch them, right? These webinars, get on them. These YouTube channels, sponsor them. These, right? These websites, partner with them, get your guest pieces on them, do a deal with them, buy advertising on them. These people on LinkedIn, like, get them to share your stuff. That's what it'll tell you. And I think both these things are valuable, but the Venn diagram is not a circle.
Mm-hmm. And how do you separate our audience is there from our competitors is there and we panicked?
Yeah. I mean, competitive intelligence can be very misleading in this way, which is one of the reasons why I would strongly recommend that you do, if you are being told you need to do competitive research, you should also do audience research, right? Because there's a big difference between our competitors participate in these places and our audience actually pays attention to them there. You can find plenty of examples of competitors buying ads, buying space at events, doing, for example, ranking for a bunch of keywords in Google, or getting into a bunch of AI answers that no one searches for, no one in your audience really cares about, are not driving business value for them, and you can get very misled. And so, my suggestion is like, hey, let's pay attention to the thing our audience and customers are actually doing.
I see. That's actually really clever. And okay, Rand. So right now, I want to play a little game with you.
Okay.
This game, the work title for this game is True or False or LinkedIn Bullshit. So
True, false, LinkedIn bullshit. Okay.
Yeah, and nowadays people tend to believe almost anything if someone adds a chart and makes a post about it. So I want to test some narratives with you, and I will be reading you the narrative, and you tell me, is it true, false, or LinkedIn bullshit?
Okay.
So the first round 1 in Mortal Kombat style. 20% of Americans use AI tools 10 times monthly.
I am the person who found that research. That is true.
Nice. And the next one will be traditional search remains overwhelmingly dominant.
Oh, gosh. I need a fourth answer. The fourth answer is, it really depends what you mean by traditional search. If you mean traditional search engines, so, whatever, Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, those four have, 100 times the market share of ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and the other AI tools. So true-ish.
Okay. Well, basically, it depends is one of the most favorite
Yeah.
phrases while
Right. That's
speaking
right.
about. Okay, and the last one in the first round is ChatGPT replaced Google for most researchers.
False. I haven't seen it I haven't seen too many LinkedIn people spouting that, so I'm not going to call LinkedIn bullshit, but definitely false.
Hmm. Okay, I see. So this is all for the first round and round number 2.
Round 2.
It- Yeah, round 2. Fight. Zero click doesn't mean zero sales.
True. Facts.
Websites are becoming optional.
False. Oh, very false. Yeah, Anthony, I've been meaning to actually write something about this, make some videos about it. Like your website is just as important as ever. And it doesn't matter if people are, it's weird to say, but it doesn't matter if people are visiting your website, if the information on your website is showing up at the top of Google and in the AI tools and, being shared on social and becoming content that spreads the message. And so it's this misleading thing. Just because traffic to something is down doesn't mean that the value of that thing is gone.
That is true. Okay, and the last one for the second round is traffic is a terrible goal.
Yes, traffic is a terrible goal. True.
Mhm. Okay, that's all for round number 2 and the last round, round 3.
Round
The
3.
final round.
Oh, final round. All right.
Final round, yeah. Search everywhere is still SEO.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I like that. I think that's true. Why shouldn't SEO be search everywhere optimization? Why shouldn't, if you want to do Reddit SEO and you want to show up in YouTube, you want to show up in Google Maps, that's all still SEO.
I see. I'll take it. We need to publish more ultimate guides.
It really depends. For most people, that's probably not true. But maybe for some people who get a lot of value from them, it could be true.
I think the biggest problem with guides is that they are becoming outdated real fast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you can write an ultimate guide to something timeless, right? There's certain things that are botany, geology, history of the Roman Empire. You want to write your ultimate guide to those things? Great, right? You want to write your ultimate guide to a practice that changes every month, like SEO for AI? Nope, not a great idea.
Okay. Okay, in this case, that's all for our mini game. And right now, I want to talk about the very hype topic that everyone are discussing for the last 4 years, AI hype. So you're not anti-AI, but you're anti-people losing their minds over AI. So what AI take immediately makes you roll your eyes?
I really dislike the false narrative that AI is going to take everyone's job. I think that's provably wrong. Every year since 2021, a bunch of people say, next year, within 6 months, 50% of these jobs will be lost. In 2 years, there'll be no graphic designers left, whatever it is. I wish every time press or media or anyone, on the internet quoted one of these AI leaders saying one of these things, they showed the track record, right? So they were like, Sam Altman says next year, 50% of admin jobs will be decimated by AI. Here are 100 times in the last 5 years that Sam Altman has said that these jobs will be gone, and we rated it, and all 100 of them were wrong. There's no reason to believe this current prediction. Please, just show the damn track record.
That's really funny. And how do you think what AI changed? Where influence happens, or what brands people trust?
I think AI has had much more change on where influence happens, which is not just the AI tools, but really how Google, I think most of the change that AI has brought to marketing is from Google itself. And there's not as much change in which brands people trust. AI can recommend brands, and that might help you discover them and learn more about them and go down rabbit holes around them. But I don't see the behavior of, hey, here's this important considered purchase that I'm making. I ask an AI tool, which are the best brands for this, and then I immediately trust the answer. That's not how people behave, right? If there's brands that they've heard of that they already know, like, and trust, and AI might help them remember those brands. If there are new brands that they've never heard of before, AI might help them go investigate those brands and learn about them. But I don't think it's having that much direct impact on which brands are being trusted.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about the trust, you said that great content isn't enough anymore. And what replaced it then?
So the blog post I wrote about this, what I said is, you need an inimitable product, right? You need a product that cannot be imitated or replaced by AI or by Google. And that is what that changes is content as a product, right? So historically, content was a product, right? It was something that you could make that provided value that people wanted, that many people would pay for, and people would seek out and amplify. That is really changed, right? The content as a product has changed deeply. Today, if you want to do content as a product, you probably need to do it on places like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, where you can get that content directly monetized, right? But the payouts are pennies per million views, that kind of thing. So it's pretty rough out there for content as a product. If you possibly can, in whatever field you're in, I would urge you to make a product that cannot be disintermediated or imitated or copied and shown right in the results of an AI tool or Google.
That's actually, I don't know, funny, because AI is built on imitating things. So that's really tricky.
Yeah, it's really tricky. It's just, right? It's just, here's the model, here's all the training data, here's a bunch of weights. Let's spicy autocomplete and spit this out. And the responses look really credible, right? They look, I don't know, 60, 70% of the way to as good as a human can do. There's still a place for content that AI can't imitate. I'm not saying there's not, right? I think that if you're covering new things, if you're writing about things that, or creating videos about, or images or charts and research or whatever it is about things that AI doesn't yet know, right? Well, great. You're influencing the AI and you're influencing people, and people will come and see that, and you can get it amplified. The value of content is not entirely gone. You just can't build your business around it like you once could. And you can't build your marketing around it like you once could.
I always recall that famous phrase from the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, when he asks, can a robot write a symphony? And robot asks the question, can you? Speaking about the inimitable products.
I mean, a symphony is a great thing, right? Like anything that's art, in my opinion, cannot be replicated by AI. And people, as soon as I say that, people always come out of the woodwork and they're like, here's this beautiful painting that AI made. Here's this, amazing piece of music. Here's whatever it is. I really like this thing that AI made that falls under art. And I disagree. What AI has done is cloned and copied a bunch of other art and then made an amalgam. And that is fundamentally different from a symphony or a play or a musical or a painting or, a piece of clothing that's made by a human being. Because when a human being makes it, there's a story. There's a story behind it. Why did you make these choices? What did you mean when you put this brush stroke vertically on the canvas? What did you mean when you had the horn section swell, 3 minutes into the symphony? What did you mean when you took the strings out of play? It's a story. There's a reason behind it. There's a history and a nod to, the practice and the person behind it. That's what art is. Art is a human practice with a story behind it. And so if you're making art, don't stop. But if you're using AI and you think that that's art, it's not, right? It's not the same thing. And I don't care about it. And I don't think the reason you're seeing, no one get rich off of AI art is because people who love art in whatever format they love it in, they love the story. They love the humanness. Art is fundamentally human. It's about life and history and stories. It couldn't be further from what AI is, right?
Yeah, I do agree with you on that, because no matter how good AI becomes each and every day, and sometimes I'm fascinated with what I see, but I always notice that people feel tricked when they find out that this or that piece of art is created by AI, no matter music, painting, anything, video. And yeah, I think we will spend a good amount of time figuring out how to place AI into our lives, not to be, I don't know, tricked, lied, or feel this uncomfortable feeling when something is off. So yeah, I think it's a bit of philosophical questions that we will need to answer. We will be answering for more and more years in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's this great study. I personally love this study. I know some people don't like it. I think it comes from the world of wine, funny enough, where they asked people to, they had a bunch of panels of people and they asked them to sort of taste a glass of wine and give their opinion of it, right? And you could have this wine and people would say like, yeah, maybe it's a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 or even a 4 out of 10. Like, I don't love it. It's not particularly great. They get another room of very similar people and they have the winemaker come in and they talk about the soil and they talk about the vines and they talk about their family building it and they talk about why they made these particular choices, which grape this is, where it comes from, all this stuff. And then the winemaker pours from the bottle of their family's vineyard and it's the same wine. And then they ask people, right? The winemaker leaves the room and they're like, okay, real talk, real opinion. What did you really think? Give your harshest critique. Everyone says 10 out of 10. They all love it. And then to make sure that this wasn't a fluke, they wired up, right? They put these like little sensors or whatever to see the pleasure centers of the brain. And after you hear the story, your brain tells you that the wine tastes better. You're not lying. You're not making it up. It's not a psychological trick. Your brain is feeling a better sensation from your taste buds. Your taste buds are sending a more powerful, better signal to your brain after you hear the story. Stories matter. They're the only thing, right? Like winemaking is an art. And there you go. Right? Like that, yeah, that's the difference. And again, if a winemaker comes in and says like, oh, I really didn't make anything. AI told me where to plant the vines. AI told me to buy this land. AI told me that this combination was going to produce the, highest, whatever, flavor profile, flavor profile. You're tasting the perfect AI generated wine.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get a lot of 2 out of 10s, 1 out of 10s, right?
And this reminds me of one phrase from the Friends show where Ross tastes something and he's like, "This tastes like feet." So, actually, I was attending wine degustations, or how do we call them, for 2 years or more, and I will tell like the stories is what actually excites me the most while I'm trying this or that wine, is the story from the person who is like presenting this wine to us, telling the stories. I was so fascinated when I was tasting this wine while hearing the story, how this wine naturally produces using the building that is made the way that wine flows through this winery down using only gravity as a source of like flowing, because right now many of wineries using like all these technical things to make wine like in more compact space, and they're just using pressure to make wine go places, while in Europe there are wineries that are using these buildings that using the special natural gravity
Yeah.
for the wine to flow. So the wine starts, the grapes start to press in the upper side, and when everything is going down, and the bottles are filled in the lower side of the winery. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. I mean, I don't know, right? There's science there too. Like it's not rejecting science or technology. It's embracing it, but it is also deeply human. It's alive. It has history. It has a reason for existing. I think this is something that the AI era and even the era of technology has perhaps removed some of marketers' most powerful weapons, which is storytelling and art. If you go back to the 20th century and you look at why, advertising firms were successful and ads worked and how brands were built, it was not on the most fancy targeting. It was not on the, very best placement. It wasn't mathematics. It was storytelling. It was understanding how people think and how they view products and why they buy services and who they buy from. And then being able to tell that story in the short space that you've got in a magazine or a newspaper or a television ad or a radio ad or a billboard, that's an ability that we have lost. That is a bit of a lost art, especially for technical digital marketers. I think it might be a superpower. I would urge us to embrace that again.
Yes, that's true. And Rand, I want to end this with two final questions. And these questions will be not about SEO, they will not be about traffic, just about the state of things of web right now. So the first one, if you had to explain the current internet to someone who last worked in marketing like 10 years ago, what would you tell them changed the most?
The biggest change is the places where people pay attention and the ways that they get information. So, whereas 10 years ago, almost everyone who had a question about a product or a service or was seeking to buy something, that journey, whether which often on the consumer side still involved social media 10 years ago, but that journey used to be multiple visits to lots of content on individual websites, right? And the journey was on the websites of the people that you and your competitors. And today, that journey is taking place more and more entirely on the platforms, on the social platforms, inside of AI tools, inside of search engines that don't send traffic out. It's just a different lens on the world of the internet. And as a result, right, everyone's traffic's down. And as a result, the types of measurement and attribution that you did in 2016 are dead. And as a result, the type of marketing that you need to do has changed, right? Like, I think a lot of people, if you ask them that question, they would just say AI. But you know what, Anthony, I think the biggest change AI ever made was actually machine learning, optimizing for engagement that happened in Google, in Facebook, and Instagram, and Reddit, and LinkedIn, and TikTok, and YouTube. That happened in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, before our current era of what we call AI. The biggest change AI ever had on marketing happened 15 years ago, not 15 months ago.
That's deep. That's really deep, Rand. And the second question is, what actually didn't change at all?
What didn't change at all in terms of internet user behavior or in terms of marketing?
In terms of state of internet, in state of web.
We only use the web slightly more than we did in 2016. Like we had nearly reached top out. I think maybe the average is up 30 or 45 minutes of usage per day. So the quantity of, time we spend in mobile apps, of time we spend online overall is only up maybe an hour or less. And I think that's probably a good thing. Like the internet didn't become a 20-hour a day addiction like people feared the WALL-E, ship becoming.
Yeah. They're sitting in these chairs, like tied to chairs, fat.
Granted, during COVID, it was pretty bad. It was close.
But right now, everyone remembers COVID as a wonderful time comparing to what we're having now. Okay, Rand, thanks very much for doing this. This was one of those conversations where I feel like I have more question in the end than in the beginning, but which is probably the point. So at least we didn't optimize it for traffic, right?
Exactly. You don't have to click anything after this podcast.
Yeah. And to all our listeners, subscribe to Adsy Talks, and we'll see you in the next episode.
This is Adsy Talks.